It is week 13 of the NFL season. It is Thanksgiving week. It's honestly one of my favorite weeks of football. We have games on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. It is nonstop time with family, food, and football. It's the good stuff, man. It's what this country's all about. It's what it was founded on. Is turkey, mashed potatoes, and sweating a Black Friday Amir Abdullah game, right? That's what this country was built on.
Our founding fathers.
But hey, look, just because every team is playing this week, we have no buys. You're going to have to make some pretty critical decisions, especially if you're playing in a league where you only play 3 receivers, 2 running backs, like one flex. Like there's some decisions you got to make, right? Your teams are hopefully stacked. You're 2 wins away from securing a bye, punching your ticket to the playoffs, whatever it may be, right? This is a big week for us. So you got to make the right decision, especially at wide receiver. So on today's episode of the Regression Mean Podcast, we have the only wide receiver rankings you will need to win week 13 of the NFL fantasy football season. I'm your host, Shaun, joined by my good friend. That's him. Are you wearing a Cubs hat today? I can't even, what hat are you rocking? Yep, wearing the Cubs hat, Aidan Holler. Aidan, man, you're my fellow co-host, fellow knower of ball, good friend. How you doing today, dude? You ready for Thanksgiving?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm eager to see how Matt Eberflus lets me down tomorrow. The last month has felt like a dream in terms of just like fake endings to every Chicago Bears football game. So we'll see. I think the Bears keep it way closer than people think, in my opinion, in that game. Like the line's 10 points, which is crazy. They just played the Vikings and the Packers to like 3 points. So we'll see, though. I'm excited. It's more importantly, though, we've got 2 weeks until fantasy playoffs, and the fact that we've got 3 games on the slate tomorrow, another one on Friday before we even hit Sunday, that's badass. That's what it's all about. So I'm fired up, Shaun. How you doing on this lovely Friday? Or it's Wednesday. Wow, geez, I'm all over the place.
I am good, dude. Family's in town. I'm happy. I'm gonna enjoy some food. I get to make my mashed potatoes and gravy tomorrow, making some stuffing, dude. So I can't complain, man. And we got a full slate of football, and I'm dead inside as a Niner fan. So this is good stuff, man. I've transitioned purely into fantasy, and I'm really not worried about what Kyle Shanahan does on Sundays. Hopefully Debo has a good game, and CMC has a good game, and Brock Purdy plays well, and George Kittle play well. But this season is technically not over because our division stinks. But man, I don't know. It's just end it.
The NFC is a gauntlet right now. Like getting in at if you're sub 500 today, getting in to the NFC playoffs feels like it's going to be pretty challenging.
You've got 2 6-5 teams and 2 5-6 teams in the NFC West. So,
and they also have to play each other at least once or twice more. I'd have to look who still plays who, but
no one's really commanding the division so far. So it's kind of setting up.
I think we've got you guys next week, don't we?
We do. Yeah, Bears. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun
to talk about. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get to the wide receiver rankings here. So my rankings are pretty straightforward. I look at a multitude of different factors. I look at an implied team total rank. So what does Vegas think about this wide receivers team? How many points they're going to score? I take a look at expert consensus rankings over at Fantasy Pros. So I like to compare my rankings against 60-plus expert rankers over at Fantasy Pros to see if I'm higher or lower on consensus. I take a look at usage over the past month. So that's expected fantasy points per game. I take a look at fantasy points per game. I look at how efficient players are with their usage and production. I take a look at the opponent they're playing and where they rank against receivers in terms of fantasy points per game. I take a look at something called an RTM score, which is just a composite ranking of all those factors built together. The lower the number, the better the play is that week. And then, of course, my projections that I've built out for wide receivers that I feel much more confident about versus the running backs. But here we go, man. But before we dive into the rankings, Aidan, I'm sure somebody clicked on our thumbnail first time watching. What's the Regression Mean Podcast all about? What should people expect?
Yeah, first of all, thankful to have you on this lovely Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome to the Mean Team. We keep our rankings pretty simple here. Shaun's got a couple data points that kind of go into our RTM score and the projections. Keep it pretty light. We'll go by tier. We don't touch on quite every guy, but we get the gist of most of the dudes in each tier. So we got little write-ups on all of them. You can go ahead down to the description. We've got it timestamped. You can see who's in each tier. You even got the link to Shaun's rankings, so you can see it all. You can see the method behind the madness.
Free,
but free too. There's no paywall here. We want to help you win. All we ask is, just give us your feedback. Whether you like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. But we're happy to have you here. Hopefully we help you punch a ticket into playoffs. And these are the wide receiver rankings.
All right, we've ranked 58 receivers. We've broken them into 6 tiers. We're going to dive in here with tier number 1, wide receivers 1 through 7. A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Top 3 option, regardless if Smitty plays or not, in my opinion, with A.J. Brown. We just got a notification. DeVonta Smith did not practice today. I do not think he plays this week. Clearly dealing with a hamstring injury. Seems like he re-injured his hamstring from earlier in the year. I think A.J. Brown is wheels up against Baltimore. Baltimore is a pass funnel.
1,000%.
Their defense is more than happy to suppress the run, let you throw it on him. It's going to be another 20, 25-point game, in my opinion, for A.J. Brown this week. I play Aidan who has A.J. Brown, so that's fun.
That'll be super fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. But I've got some guys. I've got some hitters. Jamar Chase here. Don't overthink it. Pittsburgh's been good against receivers. Bottom 4 in terms of points allowed to wide receivers, but it's Jamar Chase, man. Number 1 in points per game, number 1 in usage past month. Don't overthink it. Nico Collins would be the wide receiver 1 over the past 2 weeks if he hadn't had 2 touchdowns of 33 yards and 77 yards get called back. You have to think the explosion game is coming. This is
great matchup.
Great matchup against Jacksonville. My only fear is it becomes the Joe Mixon show. But I still have Nico top 3. So I'm not too worried about it, but it could rear its ugly head. But the Texans aren't playing well, so this idea that they're just going to blow them out, I don't think is fair.
They need Texans, one, but it could happen. But they're CJ Stroud's been an average NFL quarterback this year, at best.
Bobby Slowick. We knew when he broke Tank Dell's leg. We knew. The minute he broke Tank Dell's leg, we knew. I got both the Rams receivers back to back. So in terms of expected fantasy points per game, Cooper Kupp is at 5, Puka Nacua is at 6 over the past month. In terms of production, Cooper Kupp at 7, Puka Nacua at 13. I'd say the major difference for them is Kupp gets more love in the red zone. Does seem like they scheme it up a little bit for him. Demarcus Robinson got a Dewey on Monday. Was it Sunday? I forget. Don't know if he's going to play or not in this game based off legal troubles, but definitely something to keep in mind, because if Demarcus Robinson doesn't play, it's just going to be more targets to Cooper Kupp. This offense is about as concentrated as you want it, outside of Demarcus Robinson getting a ton of targets in the red zone. New Orleans is giving up the 6th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. Cooper Kupp will be joining the Nico Collins, A.J. Brown party against Aidan Haller this week in our league. Justin Jefferson, I'm lower than expert consensus rankings on Jettas this week. Arizona's been pretty good to wide receivers, kind of middle of the road regardless. Just his usage isn't as good. And I've got a theory, and I'll talk about it later when we talk about his wide receiver 2 in the offense. And then he's been uncharacteristically inefficient for Jettas. So he's due. This is due for positive regression.
He's so due.
But even if he's due, it's still going to be, I think, a top 8, top 9 finish. I don't know if wide receiver 1 finishes in the cards against Arizona, but definitely could happen. I'm not ruling it out. Would rather take the Rams guys over Jettas this week. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 7. He's been pretty hit or miss against Eberflus's Chicago Bears over the past 2 years, a little Jekyll and Hyde. His usage has been wide receiver 2 usage with wide receiver 1 production. Chicago's good against receivers. You're not fading ARSB, but this isn't a run. No. This isn't a super cake matchup this week. Any thoughts on tier 1?
Yeah. First one I just want to point out is I saw this stat a couple of times this week with AJ Brown. Is just how ridiculously efficient he's been. He's currently 11th in the NFL in yards. With 39 receptions. Everyone above him has at least 50 catches. It's just bonkers. He's averaging just under 20 yards a catch. So love AJ Brown this year. Baltimore is a dream matchup here this week. So if you got him, fire him up. Very, very likely he ends up as the wide receiver 1 this week, in my opinion. So pretty excited there. I was going to touch on Jettas as well. I think we're due. I think Kevin O'Connell definitely tries to get him more involved after he took a trip to Jalon Island last weekend. I do think that Arizona defense could be in for a tough day with our guy Jettas. And then I still like ARSB. To your point, I think it's been hit or miss, but that defense just isn't playing well. Like I know firsthand they're getting gashed. JA went to work, Naylor went to work, Hawk went to work. It was pretty much everyone but JJ. But ARSB doesn't play on the outside, so it really doesn't matter. It's going to be him and Kyler Gordon going to work today. So we'll see. Awesome tier here, though. You know, they're tier 1 for a reason. 7 studs here.
Yeah. Moving on to tier 2, wide receivers 8 through 16. I've got CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Malik Nabers, Drake London, George Pickens, and Tyreek Hill. Well, what a tier. Those are some names, man. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb's a target machine. He's not scoring touchdowns. He's kind of turned into... Matt Hartman said Wan'Dale Robinson. That's a little harsh, but it is a little like 8 for 80. That's what you're getting from CeeDee right now, which you're totally going to take. But his ceiling is kind of taking a hit. But this is a good matchup. New York is giving up on the season. He's due for some positive regression. I mean, CeeDee could have a spike week. I wouldn't be surprised if he broke a big one, but it's been very much a lower ADOT possession receiver for CeeDee since Cooper Rush came in. Still wide receiver 1, but that top 3 ceiling does seem a little capped at this point. Courtland Sutton, we highlighted him as a guy to trade for 6 weeks ago, and dude is balling. He is balling out of control. Pass rate is up in this Broncos offense. He is got if you're looking at this is all green for Sutton. Usage, production, matchup, score, and it's all green for Sutton. Another guy, Aidan's got in a starting lineup this week, so that's fun. But all green for Courtland Sutton this week, so it's a good spot for Sutton. Our guy.
Jackson. Holy shit, man. He's exactly who we thought he was.
The only reason I can't get him higher than 10 is because the Jets. Yeah. Well, Sauce is going to be on DK.
Yeah, just the Jets in general, though. It's a good secondary.
And they just play so slow, and their games aren't that high scoring. You know, there's a reason. There's a reason why Seattle's implied team total rank this week is 20th. So, got to be cognizant of that for JSN. But dude's a baller. That's a victory lap that I'm happy to take. T. Higgins is going to be a top 12 guy for me rest of the season when he plays. That offense just gets off so many plays. They throw the shit out of the ball, and he looks really good. Tough matchup against Pittsburgh, but I think T. Higgins is somebody you got to play if you got him. Mike Evans, the usage wasn't amazing in his return, but I don't know.
He's still the only healthy wide receiver there. You know, it's Mike Evans. Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen McMillan has not been good, so Mike Evans is a must start in my opinion.
Just him and Cotton.
Nabers with Drew Lock is intriguing. That's why I've got him
he's
up.
He's going to go nuts. I think
Nabers with Drew Lock is intriguing. Dallas's defense, you can throw on him a bit. I'm just intrigued with Tommy DeVito out. Drake London, I think, is a good matchup against the Chargers. He should be healthy after the bye. George Pickens, this is looking like kind of a bounce back smash spot for GP, as Mike Tomlin calls him. I do like this spot for Pickens against Cincinnati. And Tyreek Hill, he just isn't the alpha of this offense. There is no alpha. It's very much a spread it around type offense. I was expecting a bigger game against the Patriots, but to be fair, they blew them out and they kind of just stopped throwing the ball around the yard. If the Dolphins are serious about making this playoff push and trying catching up to the Broncos, they're going to have to win this game. And I don't think they win this game without Tyreek Hill being Tyreek Hill. So still a top 16 guy for me, but it's hard for me to get him back up into that upper echelon until I see it.
Yeah, it's been pretty mediocre.
Tier 2, what are your thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, Courtland Sutton, like you mentioned, what a fucking stud lately. They are just airing the ball out. Him and Bo Nix are always on the same page, it feels like. Contested catches, stuff over the middle, you name it. It's looked really good. So really good there. T. Higgins. I actually really like him in this spot. Like, he pretty routinely like out targets Jamar Chase. Like that passing attack is awesome. Like, I know Jamar can take, a slant 60 yards, but like T. Higgins, is a 10 target guy pretty much every time he's healthy, which is cool. So the Cincinnati passing attack has just been like, honestly, the offense in general has been like everything we dreamed of this offseason, where defense has been abysmal and they're consistently scoring like 28, 30, 35 points every week.
Just so many pass attempts, so many plays. They're airing it out.
Yeah, and then last guy is Drake London. Feels like we haven't talked about him in a bit because of the bye and the injury, but I think this could be a really good spot for them. I think the Chargers are more beatable via the air than on the ground, especially if they're behind in this game. If the Chargers are playing some really good football right now, if this is a game they're trailing in, I like both Drake London and Mooney, who I think is also set to return. I didn't see his exact status, but I really like both of those pass catchers this week.
Sweet. Yeah, both healthy after the bye, playing.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right? Yeah.
Chargers secondary is starting to get exposed. That defense is starting to get a little exposed.
Yep.
Back-to-back
There's
weeks,
more tape,
so.
it happens.
Yeah. All right, tier 3 here. Wide receivers 17 through 28. Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, Marvin Harrison, Khalil Shakir, Davante Adams, Jakobi Meyers, Zay Flowers, Ladd, McConkey, DK Metcalf, DeVonta Smith, DJ Moore. If Breece Hall doesn't play, I think you upgrade both Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams. I do think they'll see more targets as they just become inherently more pass happy. Now, I mean, I guess Braylon Allen could have a big game, but we'll cross that bridge if we get there. I'm down on Terry McLaurin. Tennessee's been really good against wide receivers. Like Nico Collins only scored like 20 points. I guess he could have had a bigger game, but I don't know. Terry's been very TD dependent this season, which is kind of the inverse of what he's usually been. Still like Terry McLaurin this week. Definitely think he could score a TD, but I'm just not super high on him compared to expert consensus rankings. I think top 12 is a little rich for my blood. Calvin Ridley's been amazing without DeAndre Hopkins.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's been awesome. This is a good matchup against Washington. Marvin Harrison has essentially done well when he's played against bad secondaries, and boy, does he have a bad secondary against Minnesota. So he is going to get an opportunity, I think, to have a bounce-back game for Maserati Marv. Khalil Shakir, really good RTM score this week in Tier 3. SF is a run funnel, so they've been a little bit harder on wide receivers, but I do like Shakir. Yeah, weather is rough. 30-mile-per-hour winds plus snow, but Shakir's a low ADOT guy, so
screens.
He would benefit from that. Davante Adams has had good usage, good production since being a Jet.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Jakobi Meyers is a target hog, man. Target hog. Welcome back, AOC, though. AOC's been bad this year.
Yeah.
AOC's been pretty bad.
Good luck with that.
Zay Flowers is pretty game script dependent. If Baltimore needs to throw the ball, Zay Flowers is going to have a big game. So just keep that in mind. Ladd McConkey. Let's get more targets to McConkey over QJ. I get QJ gets open, but QJ can't catch the ball. So he's got some of the worst hands I've ever seen. DK Metcalf. I like to report a crime. I've seen somebody's lunch get stolen.
It has gone missing, and I don't think he's going to get it back.
It's almost like you and I thought JSN is better. That's a hot take I'm sitting on, man, that I've been nervous to say, but I think JSN is better than DK Metcalf.
In terms of an overall player, I think he is. Like, DK is a freak of a human being, but JSN's awesome. He did it at Ohio State. He did it like the highest level of college football at like an elite level. And people totally counted him out for a mediocre rookie season. It was shame on all of you.
JSN catching tunnel screens and breaking 5 tackles for 30 yards is not on my bingo card. If he can do that, that's amazing.
Yep.
DeVonta Smith is not practicing. I don't think he plays, but he would be my wide receiver 27 if he did. DJ Moore, usage and production trending up. Detroit is a run funnel. You could throw in Detroit. Wouldn't be shocked if DJ Moore had a nice game against Detroit. Any thoughts on tier 4 here?
Yeah, I've got just 3 quick hitters here. I really like both of the rookies in here. I think, like you mentioned, Marv has done really well against poor secondaries. This is a game I figure them to be in behind as well against Minnesota. So excited for Marv. He was a pretty questionable call away from actually having a good week last week. Thought he got both feet in for that. A pretty impressive touchdown grab. So that negated his day a little bit. Lad, just keep being Lad. The usage has been really good. Production been pretty decent. So love that. Atlanta could be a bit stronger out of the bye. Who knows? But I like Lad. And then you mentioned DJ too. I think if we looked at the last 2 weeks, especially, his role in the Thomas Brown offense has been like night and day difference. Kind of like a Deebo Samuel type role over the last couple of years, like very short ADOT, but getting him the ball, getting him in space, and it's been pretty impressive. So yeah, he's averaged just under 20 the last 2 weeks. So I do expect that to continue. I think we're going to see his ECR get back closer to 20 rest of season if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, I would love that as a DJ Moore bag holder.
Yep. Yeah, that's trending up pretty quickly there for him, which is awesome.
All right, moving on here to tier 4. I've got wide receivers 29 through 41. I've got Jamison Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Brian Thomas, Jordan Addison, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, Juwan Jennings, Jerry Jeudy, Darnell Mooney, Tank Dell, Rome Odunze, Jalen Waddle, and Michael Pittman. I'm highlighting guys that I'm higher or lower on in this tier because I've moved a lot. I've got DeAndre Hopkins. I've got him up 4 spots ahead of expert consensus rankings. He's still a TD-dependent part-time player, but I don't know, man. KC's got such a high point total. Kind of just feels like Hopkins scores a touchdown. I still would have traded and sold high on him because his usage isn't amazing, but I still do think that this offense is trending up in a sense. Mahomes has actually put together a nice month.
Hollywood's close though too. They are trending up. Hollywood's close, and he's definitely going to get run, which is probably bad for Worthy if we're being honest. But just wanted to flag that.
Probably. I'm pretty low on Jaden Reed. Can we feature this man?
It's been weird, dude. Like his ranking this year has kind of been buoyed by like 2 monster games early. I was looking at his stat line actually before we got on here today. This Packers wide receiver room has turned into like the worst nightmare possible. Where like you pretty much can't rely on any of them on a week-to-week basis. Like Reed is the one I would put my money on a weekly basis, but you know Wicks kind of sucks. Watson goes donut every other game. Dobbs, I think, banged up, and then Jaden Reed's just like not getting the touches.
And then you get the Tucker Kraft
kind of
game.
Accustomed to. So
and then all of a sudden Tucker Kraft gets involved. But it's just the Josh Jacobs offense, bro. Like that's what it is.
And it's a bad matchup. I think they have a chance of snow too. Actually, it's very low, but it's going to be fucking cold.
It's cold.
It's going to be windy. So I'm like, I don't expect Jordan Love to throw for 300 yards
carries.
And like we need some end arounds. We need some screens. We need some short stuff to get him involved.
I'm pretty low on Juwan Jennings. Is Brock Purdy playing? Is check 1. And then even if you clear that, the bad weather conditions are terrible. This guy's like a high ADOT, like third
Stick
down
mover.
guy.
Yeah.
It's not ideal conditions for him. Pretty high on Jeudy, even though he might get the Sutton treatment, so it opens things up for Elijah Moore potentially. But Judy's been really good over the past month. So I did want to highlight his fantasy points per game has been awesome, and his production's been great for basically a month now. So Jeudy should be respected a little bit in these rankings. Low on Darnell Mooney. I don't know what's up with the hamstring. That can change if he's practicing and he's healthy. Jalen Waddle I'm down on, but I'm trending up just for the reasons we highlighted for Jaden Reed. It's just hard to bank on that production for Waddle, but definitely like a decent play. I'm not down on Waddle at all. But anyone in this tier you wanted to highlight before we get to tier 5?
Yeah, I think Pittman could get a bump here with Josh Downs injured, as you mentioned. So I like him. I don't know what to do with Tank Dell at this point. He's becoming unstartable, in my opinion. It's just like it's been a pretty miserable experience so far. So really good matchup for him. Could be a get right spot, but we could also just see like a Nico explosion while he kind of cheers him on. So fun tier here. Yeah, these are also guys you're playing, in my opinion. These are probably guys you're playing.
Jordan Addison, too, his production, wide receiver 14, wide receiver 31 usage. That's very similar to what we saw for stretches as a rookie. He's an efficiency guy, but I think it's impacting Justin Jefferson's production because Addison looks incredible, passing all eye tests. So just something to call out. I think Addison's a good start too.
Yep.
All right, wide receivers 42 through 48. Deebo Samuel, Elijah Moore, Devon Vele, Xavier Worthy, Alec Pierce, Cedric Tillman, Noah Brown. This might be the last week I can start Deebo. I know it's not even a great conditions for him, but it is kind of his condition game for when he'd play well.
Yeah.
So
just kind of like gritty, like moving the ball on the ground all game. Totally.
He has not played well. They did spring him loose on a couple big plays. He had a big housed, he like almost housed a kick that they called back on a questionable holding call. So I don't know. I like Devon Vele a ton. I think he's a decent streamer. If you like guys who get targets in good offenses who are also big as fuck, Devon Vele, here you go, man.
He's coming off a really good game, dude. Most targets and yards of his career. So he's firmly wide receiver 2 there going forward.
He gets no red zone love because Courtland Sutton gets all of the red zone looks.
He's a beast in the red zone.
If Vele would start to get more red zone looks, like he'd be a really fun start, in my opinion. Got a good matchup against Cleveland. Xavier Worthy, they're having him run real routes. He ran some real routes and got open. Still just kind of, that's very much a project. He's just a project. It's just kind of wait and see mode. He's not as developed as I thought he'd be, but he's had some moments. I think Noah Brown's a decent streamer against Tennessee based off usage, but the matchup is Cedric Tillman concussion, so we'll see if he's going to play. And if Tillman doesn't play, Elijah Moore is a good play, in my opinion. He will play in the slot. He won't necessarily see the Surtain shadow coverage. So I think it'd be a pretty solid streamer for Elijah Moore. Any thoughts on Tier 5 before we get to Tier 6?
Yeah, I'd say Vele is the only one I'm really getting excited for here. The usage has been super exciting the last couple of weeks. So good matchup, too, against Cleveland. That's probably the only guy. Alec Pierce is like so boomer. Yeah, it's exactly what you've got there. Downs out, but, it's all deep balls with him. It's nothing easy with Mr. Pierce.
All right, Tier 6 before we get out of here. 49 to 58, Pop Douglas, Quentin Johnston, Rashad Bateman, Adam Thielen, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, Christian Watson, Xavier Legette. We got the hyphen names here.
I know.
Marquez, Valdes-Scantling, Wan'Dale Robinson, Dontavian Wicks. I'm going to call out one guy. I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling is interesting. He's been amazing for the 2 weeks he's played with the Saints. The Rams secondary, you can throw on him. You can't rank him anything higher than this because he's got the wide receiver 113 usage. But Valdes-Scantling is an interesting streamer, in my opinion. Anyone in this tier before we get out of here?
No, not really. You got to give the Packers guy a bump if Dobbs doesn't play, but I don't know. Hard to trust any of them right now. So no,
Imagine Wicks going off on Thanksgiving to bring us back in. What would that feel like for you?
No, I wasted so much fat on Mr. Wicks, unfortunately, and best ball money. But no, this is a tough tier. I actually don't hate Wan'Dale with Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock makes that offense at least functional, and will support some fun fantasy output. But good luck if you're starting any of these guys.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Aidan, thank you for joining us. I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving. Thank you to everyone for rocking with us. It's week 13, man. You guys have been with us all season. We appreciate you. Have a great time with your family. Drink some beer, drink some wine, watch some football. If you don't do any of that, just watch some football. Whatever's going to be. Eat some good
Definitely
food,
watch
man.
football. That's non-negotiable.
Don't
let your family tell you otherwise. That's non-negotiable.
And remember, when they say you can't watch anymore, remember, you can always watch a little bit more.
You can always watch more. Pull your phone out.
YouTube TV app. It's a hell of an app. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time.